Well, hello everybody. Louise Eddington, Cosmic Owl Astrology, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Virgo New Moon, and this will be the correct recording for this. I probably made the mistake of recording the Virgo New Moon video the day before my book was being published, and I was full of book things and things going on. And then apparently Zoom decided to change some setting when I automatically open my Zoom, and it did not record any sound. And then I uploaded the wrong video, so I really apologize. But I've mentioned it before, but Uranus is opposing my Mercury, and there's been a lot going on with the book thing as well. So I make mistakes. I'm human. And, I try to do so much. I sometimes think I'm Superwoman, and I'm not. Anyway, but that brings me to why I am closing my books for any new bookings for one-on-one consultations for the rest of the year from Sunday night, the 18th. If you want to book anything at the price I'm on now, you can get on the books, and I will of course do those readings. I've only got a few spaces left for the rest of the year, and you can book one, and you can also schedule it for 2026 if you like. That's fine, but I'm not going to take any more one-on-one consultation bookings until January 2026, and the price will be going up then. I'm just so busy and kind of a bit burned out by it all at the moment, by trying to think I'm Superwoman. So I'm pulling back a little bit from some things just to reorganize and self-care. But we are going to look at this Virgo new moon because it's so powerful, and I don't mind doing that video again because it's amazing. I do want to focus on doing these videos more as well and being less scattered with other things. But before we look at the chart and before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. And thank you to the person who alerted me that the wrong video was uploaded for the Virgo new moon. But here we are, it's back, and it will be a good one. I always know that when I have to do a redo, it's just going to be better. And on that note, I usually pull the tarot for these things, but I was caught because this is a Virgo new moon, and it's a very specific Virgo new moon. I'm actually pulling cards from the Witch Oracle deck by Angie Sullins. This means woman in total control of herself, which is so Virgo. And so the three cards I pulled, and we'll look at the full reading towards the end: the Phoenix, the Scholar, which is very Virgoan, and the Exile, which is also very Virgoan. But we're going to look at the full meaning of those cards at the end. Right then, here we are. Let's have a look at the chart for this Virgo new moon, and then we'll kind of dive in and start talking about it. So the Virgo new moon is on August the 23rd, 2:06 a.m. Eastern time. So for Pacific coast and Hawaii and areas to the west of that, of California area, it will be actually late on the 22nd. For most people, it will be on the 23rd, which is a 5-day, which is always a number of change. So it's 2 plus 3 is 5, and it's an 8 months, which is August stability. But let's have a look: 9, 10, 11, and 3, 14, and 8, 22. Yes, it's a master day, a master builder, universal day. This adds to the bigness of it. Now, if you look at this chart, I've drew some pictures on it because this new moon involves 2 fingers of fate, or yods, and I'll talk more about what that means in a minute. But because this Virgo new moon is at 0 Virgo, conjunct this fixed star Regulus, I'll talk a lot about that. this is aspecting all of these planets that are just moving into the new signs that astrologers like I have talked about over and over. Pluto in Aquarius moving back to the start of Aquarius, Saturn and Neptune at the beginning of Aries, they'll move back into Pisces, but then back into Aries. Uranus at 1 degree and Sedna there too. Haumea at 1 degree Scorpio. But all of these planets are aspected. All of these things at these very beginning degrees of these signs are crazy big. But the sextile between Neptune and Saturn and Pluto is pointing at this new moon. So I'll talk a lot more about what that means. And that's a finger of fate or God, or a yod, known as. And it's a powerful but very awkward, I'm going to say, or challenging aspect that is really like a big itch you cannot scratch. It's hard to integrate the energies, but I'll talk more about that and give suggestions about how we can work with the energies. Then there is another finger of fate, though, or finger of God, from the new moon and Regulus to Haumea and pointing at Saturn and Neptune. So this new moon is part of something, birthing something really new. I won't say it's the most powerful new moon ever, because I think we've been saying that a lot for these things, but I will say that it is another step in this process of this new paradigm we are birthing. Then I will mention, of course, that of all of this is also aspecting Uranus and Sedna. So I'll come back to the astrology in a moment. But I do, where am I? Honestly, so many windows open as well. It's kind of crazy at the moment, right? So I do want to talk about the degree of this new moon. It's at 0 degree, and but also we have this new moon, and then on September the 21st we have a new moon partial eclipse at 29 degrees Virgo. I think their official name for 2 new moons in one sign or something is black moon, but it doesn't matter. It's still significant because one is at 0 degrees, the first degree of the sign, and one is at 29 degrees of the sign. So we're going to have a lot of beginnings and endings. But I want to talk for this new moon about the number 0. So 0 is the alpha and omega. So the beginning and the highest. And there is no beginning and there is no end in the 0. All is infinite. The ancients proclaimed that the God force is a circle whose center is everywhere and circumference is nowhere. So the 0 really is the number of what you could call the God force. It's also the Fool in the tarot. It's kind of this leap into the unknown. And it's the God force or universal energies, if you like. And it reinforces and amplifies and magnifies the vibrations of numbers it appears with. But at this time, it's on its own, so it's huge. So the number 0 really encompasses the attributes of all the numbers and brings us closer to that God force or source. So 0 is the symbol of nothingness and denotes freedom from limitations in this material world. So can you see how powerful this is? We've not only got the moon and the sun at 0 degrees, but it's aspecting all these other energies, and it's conjunct fixed star Regulus, which I will talk more about in a moment. So I just want you to picture that 0. And I want you to have a picture of this as all and everything, and there's you in the middle, but there's also you are the 0 and you contain all of it within. So this is infinity, this is possibilities, this is just connecting us with this quantum energy of of this universe that we live in at the very beginning of the sign of Virgo. So let's talk a little bit more about Virgo energy. Okay, because I think Virgo gets kind of a bad rap in some respects. But Virgo is known to be analytical, it's known to be critical, it's known to be a little bit perfectionist. But the key concept for Virgo really is humility and the need to serve. So that's why discrimination and analysis and critique is essential for it. But it's also got this modest energy to it. And if you think about this, the symbol for Virgo, it looks like an M with a fish at the end. This is kind of like the energy of the Marys or the priestess energy. Virgo constellations and signs are different, is often called the constellation of the priestess. And it is that Virgo energy, and it is the energy of the Virgin. And the true meaning of the word virgin is one who is whole to themselves. Okay. And it refers to anybody. It's about coming into this energy of being whole unto oneself. Or, to quote the deck that I chose to use for this, woman in total control of herself. But this could apply to men too, of course. Virgo is also adaptable. It's a mutable sign. So this means it's change. Change is coming. And it's a careful sign. So it's very kind of deliberate and discerning. I love the word discerning for Virgo. It's conscientious as well. And it's got good attention to detail. It's diligent and it's efficient. And so we're kind of looking for ways to be more of this energy on this new moon, especially with this yacht, and I'll talk more about that as well. Shadow really of Virgo is things like self-doubt, being pedantic with others, and also being very hypercritical and perfectionist and getting in the way of getting things done because of that perfectionist tendency. But this, because it's a new moon in zero, we're getting the opportunity to step into that energy of connection with the God source. And I'll talk more about the opposite sign, Pisces, in a minute. And of bringing that sense of bringing everything into you, mind, body, spirit, and connection with whatever the divine is. The other words for Virgo that I love are sacred service, are things like meaningful work or right work in the world and feeling useful in the world. So, you know, you can see the infinite possibilities of this new moon for every one of us, but especially those of you who have planets or angles near that 0 degree mark or at it, and that would be moi. I have my nodes at 0 degree and it's square to my Mercury. So, you know, the fact I recorded this video first with no sound does not surprise me at all. But anyway, that's on me. So, you know, this is the energy you're being invited to start creating, taking this leap, kind of like that Fool card in the tarot, to move into this energy of sacred service. Now, what makes this new moon even bigger is the conjunction with Regulus. All right, so Regulus is a fixed star. It's known as the royal star, and it moved into Virgo from our perspective at the end of 2011, in November of 2011. Because of precession of the zodiac, fixed stars do not move, we do. And they do move about a degree every 72 years from our perspective. Now, they spend 2,160 years approximately in a sign. So Regulus had been in the sign of Leo, royalty, the leader, kind of the king, the queen, but usually the king, often in the culture we've been in for 2,160 years, which is about the length of an astrological age. So we are in this turning of the ages anyway. We're moving, most people know we're moving into this age of Aquarius. Astrologers cannot really agree when it starts. I think it's a process of leaving the other one, letting go, and moving into another age. Well, since 2011, the end of 2011, we have begun to start moving into this more Virgo energy. I believe I looked up the lots of things about Regulus, fixed star Regulus, but I don't think it was named Regulus until within those last 2,160 years. So, of course, they were going to name it something very Leo, very royal, because that was the energy of fixed star Regulus as it impacted on us when it was named. Now it's moving into a whole different energy. From the energy of Leo, which is that heart, big, the leader, the king, royal, the sign of the sun, the core of our universe, very central. Now it's moving into the energy of Virgo, which I've just talked about. But this new moon as well is the first new moon to be conjunct Regulus at the same degree since Regulus moved into the sign of Virgo. So we have a Virgo new moon every year, but not at 0 degrees. This is big because it's that 000 with Regulus, the moon and the sun. And the moon and the sun as well are the yin and the yang kind of coming together in that, yin yang symbol together. Infinite in that, the infinity symbol, the black and the white, and then they have like the reverse circles in the opposite point. This is bringing everything back in together, in union, in connection with that source. It's so powerful, right? And it will be the start of another phase of what we're moving into. Okay. And then we've got this finger of fate or yod pointing at the new moon with Saturn and Neptune at the beginning of Aries, and they will meet early next year at the actual 0 degree together. And that's boundaries and boundlessness. And in Aries, the sign of the pioneer, new beginnings, new starts. So we are moving into an age of material boundaries, the known world, the physical, and this Neptune, this more nebulous connection with spirit. And that's new beginnings in Aries at the start of the zodiac on the world point. And that's pointing right at this 0 degree new moon. And then Pluto in Aquarius is kind of revealing us the subconscious energies that have been held for so long in our culture at the beginning of Aquarius, and the sign of both the humanitarian and the people, but also having that shadowy side of the autocracy. And what this yod, you could say, is kind of asking us to do, or pushing us to do, is to integrate all that's being revealed into this connection with source in a very practical, meaningful way in Virgo. Then we have the other yod. So we have this aspect from the new moon and Regulus to dwarf planet Haumea. And Haumea is pure creation. And this is earth and water. This is creating a new earth, I think, in my opinion, is what I mean. And that's pointing at Saturn and Neptune, that boundaries and boundlessness again. over and over and over, we are getting this message that we are going to really be called to step into this more quantum kind of energy and move into sacred service, for want of a better word. That's why I'm titling this video Sacred Service. We have lost that. We have had this illusion of being separate, of having power over and not being connected. And all this fact is we are connected with everything, each other, the cosmos. The planets are even believed to have consciousness, and I've long thought that. But science, quantum science, is now saying that different consciousness to ours, really. It's not this kind of same consciousness, but it's connected. The plants, all those kind of things, it's all interconnected. And we are being asked to move into this more interconnected and whole unto ourselves kind of energy, starting from within and rippling out to realizing we're connected with everything. And then this new moon as well is square to Uranus, who is the great awakener at the start of Gemini. This is changing our perceptions. And Sedna is also kind of, she's our spiritual destiny in many ways. We are moving into an unprecedented time that we in our memory. That's all. We are moving into a realization that we have kind of lost our way as humans on this earth. We treat the earth, we think we have dominate it and control over it, have dominion, meaning that we can do what we want and rape the earth and all those kind of things. And all the stories and myths that we tell ourselves have propagated that. I think we need to rewrite the myths, and a lot of people are, and I'm trying to be a part of that as well. And also, this is connected with everything. So this is a huge opportunity to really kind of move forward, starting with yourself, to plant the seeds of intention to move into that more sense of sacred service in whatever way that means for you. It could mean anything for you. For me, it's doing things like these videos. For you, it's probably going to mean something very different. But it is all about communicating, leading the way, of just spreading the word. Because Virgo is also Mercury guided. The word, spreading the word that we are interconnected until more and more people get it. So your way of doing it, or your area of way of doing it, may be very different. And Mercury, of course, is in Leo. So, and was retrograde in Leo. And on this new moon has not left the shadow of the recent retrograde. That's been revisiting how we have thought that we kind of had dominion, rulership, king, over everything. And we do not. We are part of everything. We kind of think we're special, above, separate, whatever. Yeah. Maybe we have skills that other consciousnesses do not, but we've misused it because we have misunderstood our purpose on this earth, to be connected and to protect and support and nurture our environment, so that it in return protects, supports and nourishes us. Oh, I could go on and on with these things. But anyway, it's so powerful, this new moon. And it is a beginning. It will start a 28-day lunar cycle, but it will start a greater lunar cycle as well. There's going to be, in 6 months' time, there'll be a full moon where it reaches some fulfillment. Then in a year's time, there's going to be another Virgo new moon. These things are all processes, right? But this one is a real potential to set some very, very, very powerful intentions for your future. I cannot emphasize that enough. Now then, I do want to, I keep losing my cursor now. I'm having so many technical problems, people, so forgive me. And be kind if you notice any. I try and make them up, but I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by them at the moment, so it's more than Mercury retrograde for me. But anyway, so you might want to take a step back. The Virgo is also the Hermit card in the tarot, and that's kind of going within and shining that light and looking at the past with one head forward and two heads backwards. Triple moon goddess kind of energy. But a hermit is about going within and doing some contemplation and pulling back. Hence why I'm pulling back from at least doing one-on-one consultations and a couple of other things, but that's not decided yet. So you might want to as well. You might want to pull back from busyness, which Virgo can be on the shadow side too. Virgo thinking, I've got to do this. I should do this. I've always said it's dutifulness. It's like, oh my God, I've said I'll do this, so I'll keep doing it. It's okay. Slow down, have a reset, rethink Mercury, and really kind of move forward. Now, I do have to mention one other thing, because then I want to look at the symbols for this. But we have these eclipses also coming up, and eclipses are new and full moons conjunct the lunar nodes. And so we have a blood red moon on September the 7th and a new partial solar eclipse also on September the 21st. And for that period, the nodes will stay at 18 degrees where they are on this chart. So I'm not going to show you them. But then we will have the nodes moving backwards and starting to move out of the sign of Virgo over the next few months. Obviously, it's not halfway through yet, and we do have another eclipse in these signs. But over the next few months, the moon's nodes move backwards through the signs, okay? And so the south node will move backwards through Virgo, and on, I can't remember the date, I should have looked it up again before I recorded, but sorry. It's going to be in the summer of 2026 when everything changes. Remember I said this is the start of something? The south node will move back to 0 degrees of Virgo. And in July, when all those outer planets really are in their most impactful aspects to each other, most exact, the south node will be conjunct that fixed star Regulus. So I remember I said this is starting a process. You know, we're in August, so in about 12 months' time, the south node and Virgo will be meeting. South node in Virgo and fixed star Regulus will be meeting at the point of this new moon. So the seeds you plant now may kind of be revisited and replanted or sown at that point next year. All right. So it's a process. It's amazing, this is to me. And I'm amazing that south node Regulus conjunction, again, since the first time since Regulus moved into the sign of Virgo at the end of 2011, the south node will be conjunct. That's letting go of these old ideas again, big time. But we keep getting these reminders over and over again. So, okay, let's read the Sabian symbol for one Virgo. It kind of makes me laugh a little bit. So I'm just going to read you the symbol itself. In fact, no, I don't want to read it on that site. I prefer this one. So the actual wording of the symbol, according to Dane Rudhyar, was, in a portrait, the significant features of a man's head are artistically emphasized. Now, I would change that to a person's head, because, you know, I think these symbols were written down when man was used for everything. But the shortened symbol is a person's head. And James Burgess says, learning what is significant in our lives. James Burgess says as well, the way in which we are unique can best be understood by grasping the significance of exactly where we are and why. In the process of personal evolution, it is true that we must begin by making a claim upon life according to how we feel to be different from others. Yet it is no less true to give to that uniqueness the perspective of context by being able to see where we fit in the larger picture and grasping comprehension of the overarching form that characterizes this present moment. We need to learn how to serve the greater purposes of our species by identifying what is and what is not appropriate. Isn't that astounding? If you look back at all the things I just said, you know, amazing. Okay, I'm going to also look at these symbols for the Chandra symbols written by John Sandbach and his Omega symbol. Okay, so I'm going to actually read the Omega symbol first. So he says, late at night, someone comes home and slowly ascends the stairs. Okay, so we're in the dark moon and we're at the 0 degrees, which is almost like pure darkness, really, if you think from which we came, the chaos out of the darkness, all these things. And we're slowly ascending the stairs and we're coming home unto ourselves. But he says you need periodically to withdraw from the world back into the privacy of your inner self. You seek the highest aspect of your inner being, and when you can find this and commune with it, you are then in a position to do and be your best. This may mean turning your back on the world at times because you need to be as free as possible from strife and conflict and the many and varied opinions of others. I want you to take those words in. Okay. You need to be as free as possible from strife, conflict, and the many and varied opinions of others. Now, the Chandra symbol for this degree is a volcano erupting at night. This degree seems on the surface to be very different from the Omega symbol, but both show a similarity of relationship to the world of human affairs. The volcano obviously cares not for them, and the man of the Omega symbol is retreating from them. The human. In fact, as they climb the stairs, they rise above them. The volcano clears pressure that has built up deep inside the earth. The human coming home is in the process of releasing the pressures of the day. The volcano's release is grand and dramatic, but the human's release is quiet and private. No matter how it occurs, release has to happen. And this degree absolutely will not stand for repression. It is ready and willing to give into deep release, and not just release of its own personal repressed energies, but release as much as is possible to the repressed, denied, and rejected energies of humanity at large. This is the most primitive, direct purging that Virgo is capable of. So I'm actually going to copy and paste these symbols, words in the description, because I think that you you probably need to take them in again. I cannot state enough how important it is to work with this new moon, because the zero can also go round in circles and you just can kind of go, all right, well, I'm just not going to do anything about this really. And Virgo likes to get to work and do that right work. So it's up to you really how you work with it. I apologize for uploading the wrong video saying it was the Virgo new moon before. And also, I had a recording, but this one's more detailed and better anyway. Oh, and the cards. But before I go on to the cards, thank you everybody for buying my book. Reviews are being very slow to be posted to Amazon. I know because people have told me they've posted them and they're not showing yet, but they are there. If you don't have my book yet, the reviews it's getting are amazing. So, it's available at most online booksellers now, including Amazon, everywhere. And it's also, you can still get signed copies from Sacred Threads imprint. But also don't forget to leave me a comment, thumbs up, subscribe. Now the cards. Now the first card is the Phoenix. Isn't that kind of like that volcano in the symbol, right? But look, she's coming up from the earth in this card. Look at it. I love these cards by Angie Sullins. She's a writer and an artist. And anyway, I think her husband actually, or partner actually did the art. But anyway, they work together. So this is rising up from the earth, and Virgo is an earth sign. So the Phoenix. The woman in the fire is no longer a witch being burned due to fear, control, or power. The woman in the fire today is a phoenix whose regeneration alights us with dreams of what we still can be. You were born with transformation in your veins. The fire they used to burn witches hundreds of years ago, and the myriad ways they have used to suppress they have used force to suppress, annihilate, and burn your sovereignty into compliance right here, right now, is losing its heat. Your ancestors, have taken the fire they used to destroy and brought it forward as fire to transform. The witch doesn't need seek retribution. She channels her rage, power, sadness, and brokenness into her life force, her creativity. She is a living transformation, unfolding her wings in the flames of change. Don't seek stasis or passivity or comfort. Let it all burn. Burn with it to discover the indestructible philosopher's stone at the bottom of the alchemist's bowl. It is your soul revealing its indestructible nature. Let this time of change shape your life to become the flaming legacy of your phoenix spirit. Now, the second card I pulled is the Scholar. You can see her there. Okay. She's a scholar of the sacred text of experience. While she has studied books and philosophies, has listened to the masters and wise ones, she has learned that no counsel is as wise as her own experience. Her main concern is embodying what she knows and putting it into practice. Because of this, she chooses her friends wisely and is cautious about what she puts into her mind. Her true authority comes from the wisdom of living, learning, growing, and always evolving towards her highest self. So this is you, because you're listening and you're here, and I'm just getting a quote up to read to you before we go, but I'll come back to that in a second. What is right for another may not be right for you. This is a time to test any advice or direction against your own experience. What does your gut say? When considering your options, what happens to your body? Does your heart expand, your breath deepen, your energy soar, or does your breathing go shallow, your heart shrink, your nervous system tense into a fear-shaped thing? A witch understands that knowledge becomes wisdom once it's embodied. Let your own experience and the testament of your body's truth be your guide right now. All right, this too. The last card. This is the Exile. They're a bit shiny for Zoom, but you can see her. Okay. So this is kind of like a little bit of a caution. Okay. There will be times when you are the exile, searching for your belonging the same way the ugly duckling went from place to place in hopes of home. This can be situational, temporary, a situational, temporary sting, or a long drawn out ache of longing as you seek your true place. Either way, it can be painful, to the which it is a form of initiation and needs to be greeted with respect. Your quest for connection is a holy one, like a priestess from Avalon. You must greet the fog that shrouds your true home with your soul's song. Only the truest words from your most authentic self can break the spell and clear the fog, revealing the Isle of Apples, your place of belonging. The witch knows her soul's song comes from dropping down into the wound of her unbelonging. Now is the time to apprentice yourself to the lostness, to companion the longing to belong by asking what the longing wants from you. This isn't the time for self-improvement or development, cutting away or transforming what makes you feel like you don't fit. Rather, it's a time to ask the voice of the void what it is yearning to create in you. The void, the zero, right? Yield to the ache, dear witch. The longing is forging a sanctuary for you, if only you'll follow its voice. Well, I'm sorry, that spoke to me hugely. So I hope it did you, and thank you for your patience. Here is your real Virgo new moon video.